Welcome to the show, homies. 9 out of 10, time to get serious. Fear of taking the plunge is real. So today, we're going to tackle this with a preemptive strike. Are you ready to learn how to practice becoming a homeowner before you ever even become one? Take the fear out of that whole process? Let's go ahead and remove the anxiety from this life-changing event. Play the music.
How to Buy a Home educates, protects, and connects first-time homebuyers to local, qualified realtors specifically for first-time buyers. Whether you're looking for DIY information or personal step-by-step guidance, How to Buy a Home is your #1 resource for first-time homebuyers.
What is up, my How to Buy a homies? David Sedona here, your humble host and guide. Super stoked to see that you have made it this far. Welcome to step 9 of the 10 basic steps to dump your rent and start building your financial foundation for life. Today's step will make it so you never feel house poor and can confidently know that you made the right move. Pun fully intended. Today's topics are going to be the nasty B word again. We're going to practice to avoid pain. We're going to understand playing the long game. And finally, we're going to talk about a house party and you're the DJ. Since you've been following all the steps in order here on step 9, you should be living a new financial lifestyle by now. You're working on that budget towards what you're going to need for a down payment and your closing costs. And yes, I know I brought up the B word again, budget. But remember, budgets are there not to deprive you. Instead, it's a lifestyle change and a mindset shift so that you can instead indulge guilt-free in all the things that you once thought were unattainable. And since you've already been practicing working on a budget, by the time you own a home, that practice, well, you're going to be perfect at it, right? I've had several clients, especially the people who plan for 6 months, a year, or 2 years, that eventually, as they got used to that whole automated savings, they didn't feel any major shifts in their quality of life. Here's where the practice actually helped them for after they closed on the home. They said, yeah, it was fine. The automated savings, part of their life now. A lot of them continued that same budget, that same automated saving after they purchased their first home. Some of them, well, they didn't do the whole thing. Some of it reduced it down all the way to just 25% of what they were saving before. Just enough to have a little bit of a cushion. Some reduced it by half, 50%, and some psychos stayed exactly on the same saving budget, saving the full amount that they were saving when they were trying to get ready to get a down payment and their closing costs. It's true. What they said to me was, you know what? Once we realized that to save that big chunk of money each month, all we had to do was stop going out so much or stop buying random things off of TikTok that we don't need or diversify our savings planning, putting a little less over here and a little more over here. We'd realize that, you know what? We'd rather budget a little bit and go on a badass vacation next year instead of all those little things we used to do throughout the month. Now they told us that they understood what it was like to have a big goal and to shoot for that. And it's really cool because some of them told us, hey, you know what? We figured out we don't have to just dream about lavish things that we hope to have someday. We can freaking pick our someday, put it in a spreadsheet, and know exactly when it's going to happen by just making a few sacrifices, which for many of them didn't hurt that much, especially when they considered the fact that the gift they could give themselves, like lying on a beach somewhere or traveling someplace exotic you always wanted to go to, they could pay for it in cash and not on a credit card. Some of those listeners had different ideas as well. They were keeping the budget and saving, whether it was 100% or 50% or just 25% of what they were doing before in the house saving budget plan. So they could do plan A or plan B, like we talked about before. And it doesn't have to be necessarily for saving for the next house to buy. It could be saving for a new car or a new pet or new toys, kids, vacations, school tuitions. Or they could go all HGTV crazy and remodel the whole house. It's really up to you. You have a new skill set you've learned during this saving up period. So use it. I'm not kidding. You can do anything. Buy a boat, go to Vegas, fishing trips, retire early, go to New York City, see a bunch of Broadway shows, buy an investment property and get all Monopoly in real life, building all those little green houses up to a big red hotel. Or you can go to every Disney theme park in the entire world. And yes, we did have a client that did that. Or you know what? You can just put it away and let it sit there so you can open your bank account on your phone and look at those big fat numbers anytime you want to make you feel safe. And of course, you can do that while you're sitting in the house that you own. That, my friends, that's baller. Now remember, the other B word, budgeting, it's not scary. And I want you to think about being a baller, that good B word. Or think about the real B word that happens from the security of owning a home. It's better. As long as you have the budget word in place, you can achieve a better life. Okay, on to the next topic because it's a big action step that I highly recommend each and every one of you look into, especially for those of you thinking, dude, I get it. I hear you on the budget, but our new mortgage payment is going to be way higher than our rent. For us, at least for a little while, any extra that we have, that's going to be going towards that new payment. And of course, we're okay with that because we understand it's a forced savings account that we've got here with our home. Okay, cool. Then this one is definitely for you. Before you start making that mortgage payment, while you're saving up, practice, practice, practice. Here's what I mean. When you're working with a full unicorn support team well ahead of time, you're going to have all your numbers, which means before you actually start paying that new payment to a mortgage company, I encourage you to start practicing that payment. Do it even a year ahead of time if you can. It's a really simple process, and it actually just builds up your saving. While you're still renting, talk to the unicorn lender, get a guesstimate on the monthly PITI, your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, on the number that you're approved for, and then talk to your realtor to figure out that those homes are pretty much the homes you want to buy. Now you got your monthly number. So at the end of the month, you pay your rent, and then you pay whatever the difference is to the new mortgage payment that you got figured out, and you put it right in your savings account. Now, that savings account's going to grow for your down payment and your closing costs. So yeah, you're going to practice paying your mortgage payment. Kills two birds with one stone. You practice while you're building savings. It's a great trick, and I am shocked that more realtors and lenders don't encourage would-be homebuyers to do this. Now, here's a little caveat on this. Don't be bummed out if you can't hit the number right away. Just do as much as you can, and then retweak it next month and keep practicing until you hit it. It's seriously not any more complicated than that, homies. Just practice the new payment. I wish I could dress it up and make it sound more earth-shattering than it is, but it's not. It's really simple, and it's something everybody should do. I'm shocked at how few people do this. Take it from a listener feedback I've gotten from those who actually did this. What I've heard over and over again from people is by doing this practice technique, it meant that by the time they got in the home, they never felt house poor. And then take it from me and the bummer emails I get when people don't practice. They're the ones that end up feeling that pain of regret. So to avoid that, it's simple. Practice the payment. Now, the next topic here in the practice episode, this one can get a little mathy. It involves some spreadsheets and equations. But if you haven't done this yet, this is something that I really recommend you do. It's a huge help when you have moments of longing for the easy life of a renter. Here's this fact. Your home and paying for your home will never feel more expensive than it does in the first 3 years. Now, you have to enter the home buying process understanding, comprehending, and knowing that fact. Think about it, because mathematically, it's going to be the most expensive right when you move in because you haven't paid down any of the principal. The mortgage is also going to feel the highest it ever does, but it's going to get easier because it's fixed, unlike rising annual rents. The rising rents, that's over now. And you know how much that's been a pinch on your budget for the last 2, 3, 10, 12 years you've been renting. But think about what's going to happen as you're living with that fixed income. Yeah, it's going to likely be right in line with all of your increases in income that you have in the coming years. So it's always going to be easier in the future. So this means the gap between your money in and your money out, which is leftovers, the money that you can save. That gap, it's going to be the smallest in these first 3 years of home ownership. You're going to have the smallest surplus. That's what's going to make you feel the financial pinch. Sometimes you might even feel like you're living a paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes you might even feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck with no light at the end of the tunnel. But remember, each year that you own and your monthly housing expense, that's going to remain fixed on the mortgage. Well, then the larger that saving gap gets, because you're going to have the potential to be making more money. And your shelter payment, unlike your rent, it's not moving anywhere. You know, that reminds me of an old Italian proverb about owning a home. What pasta is always getting locked out of the house? Gnocchi. Dad joke. Okay, seriously. In today's world, we tend to live so in the now that with thinking completely about immediate gratification, that ends up running our entire psyche. So sometimes we can't take a moment to laugh at a really stupid joke, or we can't see the forest for the trees. We don't understand that the mundane, sometimes the even tedious practices done today will end up making a more comfortable, easier life in the future. There's a thought that if right now we're not living our best life ever, we're failing somehow. Actually, in many ways, if you live a balanced life, even today while you're living your best life ever, then the long game can become much clearer and much more exciting. Sometimes just putting a spreadsheet in writing or writing it out, it can create a visual for you that helps ease your mind. It gets your psyche to see the best life and that it's actually happening today, even though you might be paying a little more than you're used to. And your even better life, well, that's ahead of you as things get easier. And the final topic for today is, hey, you got the house, use it. This is a little teaser for what to do for when you get the home. It never hurts to give yourself a little motivation besides just looking at the spreadsheets and the numbers. As you get closer to owning the home, start thinking about, start planning, start even researching all the fun things you can do in your new home. You start planning a Friendsgiving. Or I've seen these all over social media, hosting a random costume party for no reason. Like where they say, come as your favorite video game character or a literary character, TV or movie character. You could start thinking about what kind of dinner parties you want to have, or barbecues or game nights or watch parties for shows. Have happy hour at your house, play dates if you got kids, fire pit jam sessions if you're musicians or bongo players that smoke something I'm not allowed to talk about on a podcast. You can have Monday night football parties, the Super Bowl party, or for the hell of it, go out and spend $200 on a karaoke machine. Now you're the karaoke club. Whatever you're into. And of course, you can do the traditional things like having your home be the home that the family travels to for the holidays. How awesome is that? You don't have to travel. They come to you. I actually, speaking of social media, saw a bunch of these silly holiday games on TikTok. People get super creative with these games on like tables and floors or in the yard. And they're games for all ages with prizes. Go look them up. I think most of them are like Christmas or holiday games for the whole family. They're hysterical. Or you know what? If you don't like people, awesome. This can be your fortress of solitude with no apartment neighbors, nobody through the walls. Now, doing this research for all the things you're going to do when you own the home, kind of running these scenarios in your head before you own, it's not quite as practical as practicing your mortgage payment. But you know what? It can be really good for your mental health. Remember, buying a home's stressful, even with the best team. So if you're looking for inspiration, motivation, partification, that's a great way to help you relieve some of the home buying stress. And step 9, that'll do a lot for you as well. It's all about practice. Keep practicing a budget lifestyle. Practice your monthly payments and get in the practice of seeing the long game, both financially as well as the fun and exciting ways that your new home can be the place for family and friends, or just for you, you big old hermit. As always, if you're looking for more details and information for the first-time home buying process, check out my Instagram or my TikTok or the YouTube channel, How to Buy a Home. There's plenty there, as well as everything at howtobuyahome.com. And please, if you're getting anything out of these steps, any value from this education, please rate the podcast, or better yet, take 1 minute and write down a few words in a review. The reason for that is there's no views and likes and subscribers on podcasts. So the more reviews the podcast gets, the more people can find this so they can get empowered too. It's all about the reviews, so help out if you can. So again, if this has been helpful in any way, it's all about the reviews. Please take a second. Now, step 9 is completed, but don't stop now. Go right to step 10 and let's wrap this up for you. You can do this.
Looking for more DIY education or your own personal step-by-step guidance through the home buying journey? Since 2019, How to Buy a Home has been the #1 resource for first-time home buyers. So visit howtobuyahome.com to get started.